She was known as the homeless woman who slept on the sidewalk in front of the building, until she walked inside, looked the millionaire in the eyes, and said she owned everything there. When he laughed, someone in the room froze and everyone else fell completely silent. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and comment where in the world you're watching from, because now I'm going to tell you everything. The air was cold. It bit through clothes and skin. Linda opened her eyes. It was 6:45 in the morning. She was curled up in the narrow space where the wind didn't blow so hard, right next to the giant glass doors of the Maxwell Tower. She sat up slowly. Her body ached. She smoothed the fabric of her black dress with her hands, a slow, careful motion. She did this every morning. People in thick coats walked by. Their shoes made a fast sound on the sidewalk. No one looked at her. She was part of the street, like a mailbox or a bench. A woman in a red coat hurried past, talking into her phone. "I'm almost there. Tell him the meeting starts at 8, not 8:15. The woman's coffee cup dropped into the trash can next to Linda. It was still warm. Linda watched the steam rise into the cold air. High above, on the top floor, Robert Maxwell stood by a huge window. He looked down at the city. His office was silent and warm. His assistant, David Miller, walked in quietly. David held a tablet. "Good morning, sir," David said. Robert did not turn around. "Is the Parker contract signed?" "Yes, sir. It was messengered over last night." "Good." Robert finally turned. He smiled. "Look at this view, David. This building. It's perfect. It is the best thing I have ever made." David nodded. He adjusted his glasses. "It is impressive, sir." In the corner of the office, David's 9-year-old daughter, Chloe, sat on the floor. She had a big piece of paper and a box of colored pencils. She was drawing a house with a huge, smiling sun. She hummed a little song to herself. Robert walked to his desk. "My father started with one small brick building. Now we have this." He tapped the glass window. "This tower is mine. It tells the whole city who I am." Down on the street, Linda watched the doors of the tower swing open. A man in a uniform stood just inside. He was a guard. People in suits walked in and out. They all looked important. A young man stopped in front of her. He held out a $5 bill. "Here you go," he said, not looking at her face. Linda looked at the money. She did not take it. "I do not need money," she said, her voice quiet but clear. The young man seemed surprised. He pulled his hand back. "Okay, suit yourself." He walked into the tower. Linda watched him go. Her eyes moved up the shining side of the building, all the way to the top. Back in the office, Robert was reading a report. Chloe stood up and walked to her father's side. She tugged on his sleeve. "Daddy, can I have more white paper? I used all of this one." David looked down at her. "Of course, sweetheart." He opened a drawer and gave her a fresh stack. "You're being very quiet. Thank you." "I like drawing here," Chloe said. "It's so high up. It feels like being in a cloud." Robert heard her. He laughed. It was a big, warm sound. "That's my girl. Only the best views for the Miller family, right, David?" David forced a small smile. "Right, sir." The phone on David's desk rang. He answered it. "Robert Maxwell's office. Yes, I understand. I will tell him." He hung up and looked at Robert. "Sir, the meeting with the city planners has been moved to Thursday." Robert waved a hand. "You handle it." He looked back out the window. "Nothing can touch this place," he said, mostly to himself. On the street, the wind picked up. Linda shivered. She kept her eyes on the doors. She thought about the papers folded carefully inside a plastic bag under a thin blanket. They were old. The writing was faded. She had read the words 1,000 times. A different guard came out for a moment. He saw her. "You can't stay right in front of the doors, ma'am. You have to move along." Linda looked at him. She didn't argue. She slowly gathered her things. She stood up. For a long minute, she just stood there, facing the doors, smoothing her dress over and over. Then she took a deep breath. Inside, Robert finished his coffee. "David, cancel my 1 o'clock. I'm going to the club for lunch." "Yes, sir," David said, typing a note. Chloe held up her new drawing. "Look, Daddy, I drew the building, but I put a big flower garden all around it." "That's beautiful, honey," David said. But his voice was distracted. He was thinking about the phone call, about his mother's doctor's appointment that afternoon, about the medicine that cost so much money. Downstairs, Linda took a step forward, then another. Her steps were slow, but they were sure. She walked across the cold sidewalk. She moved past the people rushing around her. She walked right up to the giant sparkling glass doors. The guard inside saw her coming. He shook his head and started to walk toward the doors to stop her. Linda did not stop. She did not look at him. She reached out a hand and pushed the heavy door open. Warm air rushed out to meet her. She walked straight into the shining marble lobby. The guard's name was Carl. He moved quickly to block her path. "Ma'am, you can't be in here." Linda kept walking. She looked straight ahead, toward the bank of elevators. "You need to leave," Carl said, his voice firmer. He reached for her arm. Linda stopped. She turned her head and looked at his hand near her sleeve. Then she looked up at his face. Her eyes were very calm. "I have business on the top floor." Carl hesitated. People who did not belong here were usually nervous or angry. This woman was neither. She spoke like a teacher. "Do you have an appointment?" "Yes," Linda said. It was not a lie. She had an appointment with the truth, one that was 45 years late. She started walking again. Carl was confused. He followed beside her. "Who are you meeting? I need to call up." "Robert Maxwell," Linda said. She stopped in front of the elevator. The doors were shiny gold. Carl's eyes widened. He let out a short laugh. "Okay, that's enough. You're leaving now." He took her arm. Linda did not pull away. She stood very still. "If you call his assistant David Miller and tell him Linda Green is here, he will know. Or you can explain to Mr. Maxwell why you turned away his 10 o'clock appointment." Her voice was so sure. Carl's grip loosened. He looked at her worn dress, then at her clear, steady eyes. Something was wrong. He pulled his radio from his belt. Marie at the front desk? Can you call up to Mr. Maxwell's office? Ask if they're expecting a Linda Green?" There was a pause. Linda waited. She smoothed the front of her dress. Up in the office, the phone on David's desk rang. He picked it up. "Yes?" He listened. "Linda Green?" He repeated the name, confused. He did not recognize it. "No, there's no... Wait." His voice changed. It became tight. "Hold on." He covered the phone. His heart was beating very fast. He looked at Robert, who was reading a report. "Sir, security is on the line. There's a woman named Linda Green in the lobby. She says she has an appointment with you." Robert didn't look up. "I don't know anyone named Linda Green. Send her away." David's mouth was dry. Asterisk Green, asterisk. The name was in the old letters, the letters he had found and hidden. Arthur Green. He felt cold. She seems very sure, sir." Robert sighed, annoyed. "Fine, send her up. Let's get this over with. Probably wants a donation for some stray cats." David spoke into the phone, his voice shaky. "Send her up." He hung up. "Who is it, Daddy?" Chloe asked from her corner. "I don't know, honey. Just a woman." David adjusted his glasses. He could not sit still. The elevator doors opened on the top floor. Linda stepped out. The carpet was thick and gray. The walls were glass, showing the whole city. A young woman at a desk stared at her. "Can I help you?" the woman asked. "I am here for Robert Maxwell," Linda said. She walked past the desk toward the big wooden door at the end of the hall. "You can't just go in there," the woman said, standing up. Linda opened the door. The office was huge and quiet. Robert was behind a giant desk. David stood near him, papers in his hands. A little girl sat on the floor with crayons. All three of them looked at her. Robert's face showed irritation. "Who are you? What is this about?" Linda walked across the room. Her shoes made no sound on the floor. She stopped in front of his desk. She looked him directly in the eyes. "My name is Linda Green," she said. Her voice was clear and filled the quiet room. "I own this building now." For a second, there was complete silence. Then Robert Maxwell leaned back in his big leather chair. He laughed. It was a loud, booming sound that came from his chest. He laughed and laughed. "You own my building," he said, wiping his eye. "That's the best one I've heard all year. David, are you hearing this?" David did not answer. He was not laughing. He was staring at Linda. The color was draining from his face. He looked like he had seen a ghost. The papers in his hand trembled. Chloe stopped drawing. She watched her father's face. She watched the woman in the black dress who stood so still. Robert finally stopped laughing. He smiled, but his eyes were not friendly. Okay, very funny. You got your moment. Now what do you really want? Money? A job? I'm a busy man. Linda did not smile. She was perfectly calm. I do not want your money. I am telling you a fact. This tower is built on land that belonged to my grandfather. He left it to me. You have been using what is mine. Robert's smile faded. He looked from her face to David's. He saw the pure fear on his assistant's face. The room did not feel warm anymore. David, Robert said, his voice low. What is she talking about? David opened his mouth. No sound came out. He just shook his head. Linda reached into the plastic bag she carried. She pulled out a stack of old, yellowed papers. They were tied with a faded blue ribbon. She placed them carefully on the clean, shiny surface of Robert Maxwell's desk. The old papers looked like they did not belong. The yellowed corners rested on the polished wood. The blue ribbon was faded to a soft gray. Everyone stared at them. Robert Maxwell stopped smiling. He looked at the papers. Then he looked at Linda's face. Her calm was more unsettling than any shouting. What is this? He asked, his voice flat. Proof, Linda said simply. Robert did not touch the papers. He nodded at David. You look. David jumped at the sound of his name. He moved forward slowly, like walking towards something dangerous. He untied the ribbon with shaking fingers. The paper felt dry and brittle. He spread the first page on the desk. The top of the page said, Last Will and Testament. The name Arthur Joseph Green was written in old-fashioned looping script. The date was the 15th day of June, 1978. David's breath caught. He knew that name. He had seen it before, in different hidden papers. Read the important part, Linda said quietly. She pointed a finger to a paragraph near the bottom. David's voice was a whisper. I hereby deed, in perpetuity, the parcel of land located at 2201 South Michigan Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, to my granddaughter, Linda Marie Green, to be held in trust until her 21st year, thereafter to be her sole property. The office was so silent they could hear the hum of the air conditioner. Chloe held her crayon very still, listening to her father's shaky voice. Robert leaned forward. So? An old man left a plot of land to his granddaughter. That was 45 years ago. This doesn't prove anything about my building. Turn to the survey map, Linda instructed, her eyes on David. David carefully lifted the will. Underneath was a large folded sheet. He opened it. It was a detailed drawing of city blocks. A small area was shaded in light blue ink. A street address was written beside it in neat handwriting, 2201 S Michigan Ave. That is the land, Linda said. She looked at Robert. Your building, the Maxwell Tower, sits at that address. It sits on my land. Robert's face was getting red. This is ridiculous. My father bought that land. He paid for it. I have the records. Your father bought the land from a man who did not own it, Linda said. Her voice was still quiet, but every word was clear. My grandfather died before he could sell. His will was never filed with the court. It was lost. The man who sold the land to your father was a cousin. He had no right. This is a fake, Robert said, his voice rising. He slapped his hand on the desk. These are forgeries. You made these to get money from me. Linda shook her head slowly. No, they are real. You can have your people test the paper. Test the ink. You will see. David was staring at the signature at the bottom of the will. It was signed by Arthur Green. It was also signed by two witnesses. One name was Eleanor Shaw. The other was Paul Rigby. He knew these names too. They were on other documents in the company's sealed archives, documents he was never supposed to find. David, Robert snapped, you handle this. Get her out of here. Call legal. Have them look at this trash and write a letter telling her to never come back. David did not move. He was pale. He looked from the old papers to Linda's weary, certain face. He thought of the letters in the safe, the letters where Robert's own father wrote to his lawyer, worried about the Green situation and a missing heir. David! Robert's voice was a whip. Sir, David stammered. Perhaps we should look at our own records, from when your father purchased the property. Robert stared at his assistant. He saw the pure fear in David's eyes. It wasn't just fear of an angry boss. It was the fear of a man who knows a secret is about to explode. What do you know? Robert asked, his voice suddenly low and dangerous. Nothing, sir. I just mean, to be sure. David's words tumbled out. He adjusted his glasses again and again. Chloe stood up. She walked over to her father and took his hand. Daddy, are you okay? Linda watched the little girl. Her stern expression softened for just a second. Then she looked back at Robert. Your assistant knows more than he is saying, but you do not need him to tell you. The truth is right on your desk. You can feel it. Robert looked down at the brittle pages. For the first time, a real flicker of doubt appeared in his eyes. Not belief, but the cold fear that this might not go away easily, that this quiet woman in a black dress might be more than a speck of dust. He sat back down. Get out, he said to Linda, but the force was gone from his voice. Take your papers and get out of my office. Linda carefully gathered the documents. She retied the blue ribbon. This is not over. I will be back, with lawyers next time. She turned and walked out. The door closed softly behind her. The room stayed quiet. Robert glared at David. Find every file, every record, every scrap of paper about the purchase of this land. Bring it all to me, now. David could only nod, his throat too tight to speak. He led Chloe back to her corner, his mind screaming with the secret he had kept for so many years. The door had been closed for 3 hours. David sat in the small, windowless records room in the basement of the Maxwell Tower. File boxes were piled around him. His hands were dusty. Chloe was asleep on a folded blanket in the corner, her drawings spread around her. He had found the official property deeds. They showed his boss's father, Charles Maxwell, buying the land from a man named Thomas Green in the spring of 1980. The price was listed. It all looked clean. But David knew where to keep looking. He moved to a different shelf. These boxes were not marked with words like property or finance. They were marked with years. Corporate correspondence, 1979 to 1982. His heart beat hard as he opened the box. The air smelled like old paper. He flipped through folders. He stopped at one labeled C. Maxwell Personal. Inside were letters handwritten on thick, yellowed stationery. David's fingers trembled as he took them out. He recognized Charles Maxwell's sharp, slanted writing. He read the top letter. It was dated May 10th, 1980. John, the Green matter is settled. The cousin took the money and won't talk. The city records are handled, but I am uneasy. The daughter is one thing, but I heard there was a granddaughter. The will was never probated, but if it surfaces, make sure our file on this is clean. I don't want Robert knowing how I got him his first big plot. He has a soft heart. David felt sick. He read the next letter from a lawyer named John Price. Charles, the granddaughter, Linda Green, has been located. She is a school teacher. She has made an inquiry with the county clerk. We have initiated the standard protocol. She will be discouraged. Do not worry. Initiated the standard protocol. David knew what that meant now. He had seen the end result sleeping on the street outside. Daddy? Chloe's voice made him jump. He quickly folded the letters. What are you reading? She asked, rubbing her eyes. Just old work papers, honey. He tried to smile. Go back to sleep. You look scared, Chloe said. She stood up and came over. Is it because of that lady? The one who said she owns the building? David didn't know what to say. He looked at his daughter's worried face. It's complicated, sweetheart. Did she lie? Chloe asked. David thought about Linda's calm eyes. He thought about the fear on her face when she said she had tried to claim her land years ago. He looked down at the damning letters in his hand. No, Chloe, he said, his voice a hollow whisper. I don't think she lied. Then why is everyone mad at her? Because he searched for a simple truth. Because if she is right, then Mr. Maxwell was wrong, and very powerful people do not like to be wrong. Chloe thought about this. But if she's right, we should help her be right. That's what my teacher says. We have to tell the truth. David felt a pain in his chest. Sometimes telling the truth can hurt people you care about. It can make bad things happen. What kind of bad things? David thought about his mother, Agnes. He saw the small white pills she took every morning, the pills that cost more than his rent. Robert Maxwell paid for them. Robert paid his salary. This job was their safety. We might have to move. We might not have money for things we need, he said. Chloe was quiet for a minute. She looked at the dusty floor. Would we still have each other? Of course, baby. Always. Then it would be okay, she said, with the simple logic of a child. We could help the lady and still have each other. She went back to her blanket and curled up. David sat in the dusty silence. He held the letters. They felt heavy. For years he had known something was wrong. He found these letters 5 years ago, just after Robert paid for his mother's surgery. He had been so grateful. He was too scared to ask questions. He shut the file and never opened it again. He told himself it was ancient history. He told himself his job was to be loyal. But now, Linda Green had walked into the office. She was not ancient history. She was a living person who had lost everything, and his boss was going to fight her with everything he had. David put the letters into his own briefcase. He would not show them to Robert. He knew that now, but hiding them felt different this time. Before, it was to keep his job. Now it felt like he was choosing a side. He was hiding the truth to help Robert win. He turned off the light. He picked up his sleeping daughter. As he carried her through the dark basement hallway, he felt the weight of the secret more than ever. It was no longer something he just knew. It was something he was doing. The morning newspaper was folded on David's desk. The headline was small but clear. Harrisser homeless? Bizarre claim against downtown tower. David did not need to open it. He had been in the room when Robert's lawyer, Mr. Henderson, spoke to the reporter on the phone. Robert walked into the office at 7 o'clock. He did not say good morning. He picked up the paper and smiled. "This is how it's done, David," he said, tapping the article. "Control the story." David kept his eyes on his computer screen. "Yes, sir." "Henderson is a genius," Robert continued, pouring coffee. "He didn't deny she has papers. He just raised serious concerns about their origin. He talked about her well-documented history of instability. He mentioned the old teaching license review. All facts, just arranged in the right order. They were not all facts. David knew that. The instability was created by people working for Robert's father. "Will she sue for defamation?" David asked quietly. "Let her try," Robert said, his voice cool. "It will take years and money she doesn't have. By then, everyone in this city will think she's a sad, confused woman. No one will believe her." Down on the street, Linda was buying a coffee with a few coins. The man at the cart handed her the cup. He looked at her face, then looked again. His friendly smile faded. "Hey," he said, "aren't you the lady from the news?" Linda paused. "What news?" "The paper. The one saying you're causing trouble for Mr. Maxwell." The man's voice was no longer kind. "Look, I don't need drama here, okay? Just take your coffee and go." Linda took the cup. She walked away. She could feel other people looking at her. Their looks were different now. Before, they saw a homeless woman and looked through her. Now, they saw a story. They saw a problem. She sat on her usual spot near the building's vent. She opened the free newspaper she had picked up. She saw the article. She read the words fraudulent documents and mental health episodes. She read a quote from a company spokesman expressing sympathy for her condition while defending the legitimate Maxwell ownership. Her hand shook. She put the paper down. She smoothed her black dress over and over. Inside, Chloe was coloring at her small table. She looked at her father. "Daddy, what's defamation?" David was startled. "Where did you hear that word?" "I heard Mr. Maxwell say it on the phone. He was talking about the lady." David sighed. He walked over and knelt beside her. "It's when someone says things about another person that are not true. Hurtful things that damage their reputation." "Is he doing that to Linda?" Chloe asked, using the name she had heard. David could not lie to her face. He looked at the floor. "He is telling his side of the story very strongly." "But her side is true," Chloe whispered, as if it were a secret. David had no answer. Robert's phone rang. He answered it. "Henderson. Good. And the judge agreed?" "Perfect." He hung up, looking triumphant. "The hearing for her injunction is pushed back 6 months. The court calendar is every full." He smiled at David. "Time. That's what she doesn't have. That's what we have plenty of." Later that afternoon, David had to leave the office to get Robert's suit from the tailor. On the sidewalk, he saw Linda. She was sitting against the wall, her eyes closed. A couple walked past her. The woman pointed. "That's her," the woman said, not bothering to lower her voice. "She thinks she owns the building. How sad." Linda's eyes opened. She looked straight ahead, her face a blank mask. But David saw the pain in the tight line of her mouth. He stopped. He wanted to say something, to tell her he was sorry, to tell her he knew the truth. But then he thought of his mother's medicine. He thought of his paycheck. He kept walking. That night, in his small apartment, David could not sleep. He turned on the local news. A reporter stood in front of the Maxwell Tower. "A strange legal battle is brewing," the reporter said. "A homeless woman claims to be the rightful owner of this iconic skyscraper, but legal experts say her case is thin, and building owner Robert Maxwell calls it a cruel attempt to exploit his goodwill." They showed an old, blurry photo of Linda from her teacher ID. Then they showed a recent, grainy shot of her on the street. The message was clear. She had fallen apart. She was not credible. David turned off the TV. The apartment was dark. He could hear Chloe's steady breathing from her bedroom. He had the proof that could change the story. It was in his briefcase, in the closet. The letters that showed it was all real, that Linda was right. He got up and opened the closet. He stared at the briefcase for a long time. Then he closed the door again. He went back to bed, but sleep did not come. He was helping Robert tell a lie. He could feel it, heavy on his chest, making it hard to breathe. The kitchen light was too bright. David sat at the small table, staring at a bowl of cereal he wasn't eating. It was 7 in the morning. Chloe sat across from him. She poured milk slowly, watching him. "You didn't sleep again," she said. "I'm fine, honey. Eat your breakfast." "You have those dark circles," she said, "like a raccoon." She took a bite. "Is it because of the lady, Linda?" David put his head in his hands for a second. Then he looked up. "It's complicated work stuff, Chloe. Grown-up problems." "Is her problem that she doesn't have a home?" Chloe asked. "That's part of it. And the other part is that Mr. Maxwell has her home, but he says he doesn't." David was stunned by how simply she put it. It's about papers and laws. It's not that simple." "Is she a good person?" Chloe asked. David thought of Linda's quiet voice, her calm eyes in the office. She had not yelled. She had not begged. "I think she is a person who had something bad happen to her." "And Mr. Maxwell is a good person?" Chloe asked next. This question was harder. David thought of the medicine, the paycheck, the school shoes on Chloe's feet. "He has been very good to us," David said carefully. "He helped Grandma." "But is he being good to her?" Chloe pointed a spoon toward the window, in the general direction of downtown. David had no answer. The silence was his answer. Chloe finished her cereal. "Can I come to work with you today?" "Of course," David said. He was too tired to arrange anything else. In the office, Robert was in a good mood. He was on the phone. "Excellent. Yes, run that piece tomorrow. The human interest angle, right. The poor confused woman versus the job-creating philanthropist." He hung up and saw David and Chloe. "David, get the figures for the Lakeview project. I want to announce it this week. Good press." "Yes, sir." David went to his desk. He felt tired down to his bones. Chloe took out her paper and crayons, but she didn't start drawing right away. She watched her father type. She watched Robert look out over the city, his hands in his pockets. After a while, she asked Robert a question. "Mr. Maxwell." Robert turned, surprised. He wasn't used to the child speaking to him. "Yes, Chloe." "Do you think Linda is lying?" Robert's smile froze. He looked at David, then back at Chloe. He forced the smile to stay. "The law will decide that, but sometimes people who are very sick in their minds believe things that aren't true. It's very sad." "She didn't look sick," Chloe said. "She looks sad." "Well," Robert said, his voice losing its fake warmth. "Looks can be confusing." He walked back to his desk, ending the conversation. Chloe picked up a yellow crayon. She began to draw. She drew a tall building. She drew a woman with gray hair in a black dress standing next to it. Then, on a separate piece of paper, she drew the same woman inside a big, sunny room with lots of windows. She colored the dress yellow. At lunch, David took Chloe to a small park near the tower. While he bought sandwiches, Chloe saw someone sitting on a bench near a bare tree. It was Linda. She was reading the newspaper again. Chloe walked over. She didn't say anything. She just held out the drawing of the woman in the yellow dress in the sunny room. Linda looked up. She saw the little girl from the office. She looked at the drawing. Her stern face changed. For a moment, she looked like she might cry. She took the paper. "Thank you," she said, her voice rough. "Yellow is a happy color." "You don't look happy," Chloe said. "No," Linda agreed. "Not today." "My dad is not happy either," Chloe whispered, as if telling a secret. "He knows something." Linda's eyes sharpened. She looked over at David, who was hurrying toward them, his face panicked. "I think he does," Linda said quietly to Chloe. "Thank you for the picture." David arrived. "Chloe, you can't just run off." He looked at Linda, afraid. "I'm sorry. She didn't mean to bother you." "She wasn't a bother," Linda said. She held up the drawing. "She was kind." She looked directly at David. "Kindness is rare. It's better than papers." David couldn't hold her gaze. He took Chloe's hand. "We have to go." As they walked away, Chloe looked back. Linda was smoothing the drawing, just like she smoothed her dress. The numbers on the clock glowed red. 2:17 in the morning. David stared at them from his couch. He had not slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw two pictures. One was Linda smoothing the yellow drawing Chloe had given her. The other was Robert's cool, confident smile as he told the reporter his version of the truth. He got up. He walked past Chloe's dark bedroom. He could hear her soft breathing. He went to the small closet in the hallway. His briefcase was on the top shelf. He took it down. He opened it on the kitchen table. Inside a plain folder were the old letters. The paper felt like dry leaves. He read them again, under the harsh kitchen light. "The granddaughter, Linda Green, has been located. We have initiated the standard protocol. She will be discouraged." Discouraged until she was sleeping on the street. A small sound made him turn. His mother, Agnes, stood in the doorway of her room. She was wrapped in a robe. "David, what's wrong? Is it Chloe?" "No, Mom. She's fine. Go back to sleep." Agnes came closer. She saw the old letters on the table. "What is all this?" "It's work," he said, trying to cover them. Agnes put a hand on his arm. Her hand was thin, her skin papery. "You've been a ghost for weeks. This is about that woman on the news, isn't it? The one they say is crazy." David looked at his mother. She was alive because of Robert Maxwell's money. "What if she's not crazy, Mom? What if she's right?" Agnes was quiet for a long time. She sat down slowly. "Then a great wrong was done," she said finally. "But David, that man pays for the pills that keep my heart beating. He pays for this roof." "I know," David whispered. The two truths crushed him from both sides. "Whatever you do," Agnes said, her voice firm, "you make the choice you can live with. You have to look at Chloe every day. Can you live with your choice?" She kissed his forehead and went back to bed. David sat alone. He thought about living with the choice. He had been living with the choice to stay silent for 5 years. It felt like a slow poison. At 6 in the morning, he dressed for work. He put the letters in the inside pocket of his jacket. They felt like they were burning against his chest. He drove Chloe to school first. "Daddy," she said as they pulled up, "is being good supposed to make you this sad?" Her question, from her list of quotes, hit him straight in the heart. He had to clear his throat to speak. "Sometimes, honey, but then you do it anyway." He watched her run into the school. Then he drove to the Maxwell Tower. He did not go up to the office. He took the elevator down to the basement, to the records room. He knew the combination to the old, small safe where original documents were kept. Robert never came down here. His hands were steady as he turned the dial. The safe door opened with a soft click. He took out the company's official property file. He slipped the handwritten letters from his father inside it. He closed the safe. He did not go to his desk. He walked out of the tower. He found Linda at the corner, near the coffee cart. The man gave her a cold look but served her. David walked up to her. "Linda." She turned. She saw his face. She did not speak. "I need to talk to you, somewhere private." His voice was tight. She nodded and followed him to the same small park. They sat on a bench. The morning was cold. David reached into his jacket. He pulled out the folder. "I found these a long time ago. I should have given them to you then. I was scared." Linda opened the folder. She saw the handwriting. She read the first line. Her breath caught. She read slowly, carefully. When she finished, she looked up at him. Her eyes were shining with tears, but her face was strong. "These are from his father," she said. "Yes. They knew. They knew about me, and they stopped me." She held the papers like they were precious. "Why are you giving these to me now?" David looked at his hands. "Because my daughter thinks you are a good person, and she asked me if being good is supposed to make you sad." He met her eyes. "I have been sad for a very long time. It is time to try being good instead." Linda placed her hand over his for just a second. It was a brief, warm touch. "Thank you, David." "He will fire me," David said. The words made it real. A wave of fear washed over him. "My mother's medicine." "I do not have money to help you now," Linda said. "But if these papers help me win, I will not forget what you did. I give you my word." David stood up. He felt light and heavy at the same time. He had done it. The secret was out. He walked back toward the tower, toward whatever came next. David stood outside Robert Maxwell's office. His heart was a loud drum in his ears. He took a deep breath and opened the door. Robert was on the phone. He held up a finger for David to wait. His voice was smooth. "Yes, Henderson. Well, without new evidence, her case is dead. Just keep dragging it out." He hung up and smiled at David. "The vulture's circle is closing, David. She has nothing." David's mouth was dry. "Sir, there is something you need to know." Robert's smile faded. "What?" "I gave her the letters." The words came out in a rush. "The handwritten ones from your father, about the Green family." The room went completely still. Robert's face did not change at first. Then slowly, it turned a dark red. "You did what?" "I gave them to Linda Green this morning. She has them now." Robert stood up. He walked around his desk until he was standing very close to David. His voice was a low, dangerous whisper. "You betrayed me. You stole from this company and gave it to that woman." "They were proof," David said, his own voice shaking. "Proof that she was telling the truth all along." "I don't care what they were," Robert shouted, the sound sudden and shocking. "You were my right hand. I paid for your life, and you spit in my face." "I was trying to do the right thing," David said, but it sounded weak. "The right thing?" Robert laughed. A harsh, ugly sound. "Proof that she was telling the truth all along." "I don't care what they were," Robert shouted, the sound sudden and shocking. "You were my right hand. I paid for your life, and you spit in my face." "I was trying to do the right thing," David said, but it sounded weak. "The right thing?" Robert laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. "You are fired. Get out, now. Your things will be boxed and left at security. You are not to set foot in any Maxwell property again. Do you understand?" David nodded. "You are fired. Get out, now. Your things will be boxed and left at security. You are not to set foot in any Maxwell property again. Do you understand?" David nodded. He felt numb. "My mother's medicine is no longer my concern," Robert said, turning his back. "You made your choice. Live with the consequences." David walked out of the office. He felt numb. "My mother's medicine is no longer my concern," Robert said, turning his back. "You made your choice. Live with the consequences." David walked out of the office. He felt the eyes of other assistants on him. He went down in the elevator for the last time. He did not have a box. He just had his jacket. He sat in his car for a long... He felt the eyes of other assistants on him. He went down in the elevator for the last time. He did not have a box. He just had his jacket. He sat in his car for a long time. He did not know where to go. He finally drove to his mother's apartment. Agnes opened the door. She saw his face. "Oh, David. I did it, Mom." Long time. He did not know where to go. He finally drove to his mother's apartment. Agnes opened the door. She saw his face. "Oh, David. I did it, Mom. I gave her the papers. He fired me." Agnes pulled him inside and hugged him. "Then we will figure it out." At 3 o'clock, he picked up Chloe from school. "Daddy, I gave her the papers. He fired me." Agnes pulled him inside and hugged him. "Then we will figure it out." At 3 o'clock, he picked up Chloe from school. "Daddy, you're early," she said, running to the car. Then she saw his face. "What's wrong?" "I lost my job today, honey." "Because you helped Linda?" "Yes." Chloe was quiet for a minute. "You're early. she said, running to the car. Then she saw his face. "What's wrong?" "I lost my job today, honey." "Because you helped Linda?" "Yes." Chloe was quiet for a minute. As a disgruntled employee, Linda had to sit in a room with Robert's lawyers. They asked her the same questions over and over. "Is it true you were fired from your teaching position for instability? Is it true you have spent time in a psychiatric hospital? Why did you wait so long to come forward?" Each time, she answered calmly. She told the truth, but it was exhausting. Some days she wanted to go back to her spot by the vent and forget the whole thing. But she thought of David, who had lost his job. She thought of Chloe's yellow drawing. She kept going. The courtroom was very quiet. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. Linda sat next to her lawyer, Sarah Cohen. She wore a simple blue dress that Sarah had helped her buy. She kept her hands folded in her lap, smoothing the fabric over her knees. Across the aisle, Robert Maxwell sat with 3 of his lawyers. He stared straight ahead at the judge's empty chair. His jaw was tight. David sat in the row behind Linda. Chloe was next to him, swinging her legs because they didn't touch the floor. He had brought her because he had no one to watch her, and because she had asked to come. "All rise," the bailiff said. Judge Eleanor Watkins walked in. She was an older woman with glasses. She sat down and looked at the papers in front of her. The room sat. "This has been a long and difficult case," Judge Watkins began. Her voice was clear. "It is not about property law alone. It is about history. It is about truth." Linda held her breath. "We have seen the last will and testament of Arthur Green," the judge said. "We have seen the survey maps. We have also seen internal correspondence from the Maxwell family's files. These letters show a conscious effort to conceal the existence of Mr. Green's true heir, his granddaughter, Linda Green." Robert's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, those letters were stolen. They were entered into evidence properly," Judge Watkins said, stopping him. "Their authenticity is not in dispute. What is in dispute is their meaning. To me, the meaning is clear." She took off her glasses. She looked at Linda, then she looked at Robert. "The law is not just about who holds a piece of paper today. It is about who it belonged to yesterday. It is about making things right when a wrong has been done." She put her glasses back on. She read from a paper. "I find that the parcel of land located at 2201 South Michigan Avenue was the legal property of Linda Marie Green, inherited from her grandfather, Arthur Green. I find that the subsequent sale of that land by Thomas Green to Charles Maxwell was invalid, as Thomas Green did not hold clear title. Therefore, the title now held by Maxwell Holdings is void." A gasp went through the courtroom. A reporter in the back started typing quickly on his phone. Judge Watkins continued, "Legal ownership of the land and all structures upon it is hereby restored to Linda Green." It was over. Just like that. Robert Maxwell stood up. His face was white with fury. He did not say a word. He turned and walked out of the courtroom, his lawyers scrambling after him. Linda did not move. She felt like the room was spinning. Sarah put a hand on her arm. "You won, Linda. You won." David let out a long, shaky breath. He put his face in his hands. Chloe hugged his arm. "Daddy, does this mean the nice lady gets her home back?" "Yes, honey," David said, his voice thick. "It does." Linda finally stood. She turned and saw David and Chloe. She walked over to them. She didn't know what to say. "Thank you," was all she could manage. David nodded, wiping his eyes. "You're welcome." Outside the courthouse, the sun was shining. Reporters rushed toward Linda, shouting questions. Sarah held up a hand. "We will have a statement later." Linda looked past them. She saw Robert Maxwell getting into a black car at the curb. He looked at her through the window. His expression was not just anger. It was the look of a man who had built a giant tower, only to see it vanish like a mirage. The car drove away. Linda stood on the steps. She felt the sun on her face, warm and real. For the first time in 10 years, no one could tell her she was crazy. The law had spoken. The building was hers. But as she stood there, a strange feeling came over her. It wasn't joy. It wasn't excitement. It was a quiet, heavy understanding. The fight was over. Now she had to figure out what to do next. She had a skyscraper, and she had no idea what to do with it. The papers were signed. The Maxwell Tower now belonged to a large investment company from New York. Linda sat in Sarah Cohen's office holding a single check. The number was so large it did not feel real. "What will you do now?" Sarah asked. "You could live anywhere. You never have to worry again." Linda looked at the check. She thought of the cold vent, the feeling of invisible eyes, the other women she had known on the streets with stories just like hers. "I want to build something," Linda said, "but not a tower." 1 year later, on a cool fall morning, a crowd gathered on the south side of Chicago. There was a new building, 3 stories tall, made of warm red brick. A sign out front said, "The Green Haven, a safe harbor for women." A blue ribbon was stretched across the front doors. Linda stood in front of it. She wore a simple yellow dress. David and Chloe stood beside her. Chloe held a giant pair of scissors. "Are you ready?" Linda asked her. Chloe nodded, her face serious. She cut the ribbon. Everyone clapped. Inside, the building was bright and clean. There was a large kitchen, a dining room with long tables, and bedrooms with real beds. A room for children to play. An office. Linda showed David his office. His name was on the door. "This is yours," she said. "Your job is to run this place, to make sure it helps people, to make sure no one here is ever made to feel invisible." David's eyes filled with tears. "Linda, I don't know what to say. The salary, my mother's treatments, are all taken care of," Linda said firmly. "That was my first promise. This was my second." Chloe ran up, holding a drawing. It showed the brick building. People were smiling in the windows. "I drew the new home," she said. "It's perfect," Linda said. Across town, in a much smaller office in a plain building, Robert Maxwell stared at a blank wall. His new space had no view. The furniture was old. His lawyer, Henderson, sat across from him. "The appeal was denied, Robert. It's final. The sale of the other assets will cover the legal debts, but the Maxwell Holdings name is finished." Robert did not answer. He was thinking of the tower. He had driven past the Green Haven once. He saw the sign. He saw the women going inside. He saw his crown turned into a shelter by the woman he tried to erase. The anger was gone now. All that was left was a hollow, empty feeling. He had built an empire on a stolen piece of land. And in the end, that was all it ever was. A few days later, Linda walked through the shelter's garden. David found her there. "We have our first 5 residents," he said. "They're settling in." "Good," Linda said. She looked at the brick walls, the clean windows. "Do you miss it?" David asked. "The money from the tower? You could have had anything." Linda shook her head. "I have what I wanted. I have my name back. I have my story back. And now," she said, looking at the women talking in the dining room, "other people can have a chance to write a new story